Welcome to Two Doctors Homestead. My name's Daniel, and this is a weekday edition of Two Doctors Prepping. I've actually been wanting to make this video for a couple weeks now, but we've been busy. I've been busy with work, with life on the homestead, as you might be able to see, surrounded by construction materials, which is why I'm not throwing the Bowie knife today. We're gearing up to start building the turkey coop, and we got materials stacked up all over the place. I'm actually really excited about that project, and we'll probably make a couple videos along the way of the different techniques and whatnot for basic construction. Even if you have some experience, it's always good to watch, maybe learn something new or give me some advice as we're watching the video, as we're going through it. So been busy. This video I want to talk about the 3 Bs. I actually have a 4th B to throw in there. I don't want to change it to the 4 Bs because I didn't come up with the 3 Bs, so we'll call it a freebie, right? There's going to be freebie at the end of the 3 Bs. So before we talked about the rule of threes, and the rule of threes covers 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. And that's where the rule of threes and the 3 Bs overlap, because the first B of the 3 Bs could be beans. Now with all of the 3 Bs, you could take them literally or you could take them figuratively, right? You could just say beans, or we can say beans represents long-term store dry goods that have a very long shelf life, that you can just keep and set aside and forget about until you need them, right? So beans themselves, why beans? Why are the preppers always talking about rice and beans? Well, about 18 ounces of beans provides 1,500 calories, which keeps you above the starvation level if you're a man. The starvation level for women is about 1,200 calories. So that's a little bit less. That's maybe 15 ounces of beans. So you're talking about a pound of beans a day. If you just go buy a 1 pound bag of beans, you're going to pay about $1. If you get a 20 pound bag of bean, that price goes down. So it's inexpensive long-term food, and it has been for a long time, going back pioneer days or before. So the reason you're always hearing about beans is they're cheap, they're nutrient dense, and they last a long time. Right, you don't necessarily have to spend $4,000 on a freeze dryer. You can get a couple bags of beans, and that could be a couple months worth of food right there, right? So beans are good. Long-term food is good. It's important to have some food security. You see everything that could happen in the world right now, and everything that is happening in the world right now and has been happening over the last couple years. Supply chain shortages, financial collapses. It's moving out of the realm of fantasy, right? We just saw a bank collapse, maybe 2 banks collapse. Federal Reserve, the government, did a great job recovering from that, but that doesn't mean it's over. So a little food security is not a bad idea. We see trains being derailed or derailing themselves, right? Trains are a big part of our supply chain. All of those things, any of those things, another pandemic, any of that coming together can impact the supply chain, right? And one of the things you can do to protect yourself from supply chain failures is to have a little bit of extra food put away, right? So the rule of threes overlaps with the 3 Bs. Get your beans, get your rice, get something, right? We're going to do a weekly video, and we have been doing a weekly video on Prepper Pantry, just giving you ideas for shelf-stable foods, and we're going to try to keep it at foods that work out to about $1 a day, right? I'm going to show you some other options that are a lot more than $1 a day, but just keep that in mind, right? You can have 30 days worth of food stocked away for one person for $30. If that's a lot of money for you, certainly I understand. You can spread that out. Do $5 a paycheck, something like that. Find something that works for you, but think about that long-term food storage, right? And that's the first B. Second B is bandages. So we just did a video that's probably going to go up this weekend about emergency supplies, and certainly one of the other supplies you're going to want to look at is medical supplies. And bandages could literally just be a big box of bandages, or figuratively cover any kind of medical supplies you might need. Start looking at that now if you're not looking at that already. Being out here on the homestead, certainly get injured from time to time. So we use bandages. You get a cut, you put a bandage on it. You're going to want to put some antibiotic ointment or something, peroxide, depends on the injury, depends on you. But you want to have those things before you get cut. You're not going to have a, cut. I accidentally stab myself on the hand. You're not going to run with a stabbed hand to the store and be like, what do I need? I guess I'm going to buy some gauze and some wrap, and I'll be all right. Maybe get some stitches so I can do my own stitches. You go to the emergency room, right? In a SHTF situation, in a collapse situation, in an emergency situation, going to the emergency room may or may not be an option, right? We saw that during COVID. It was a lot harder to get medical care. We're looking at potential other pandemics coming. Don't know. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm just saying keep that in your mind and be prepared, right? If you're prepared, you don't have to panic. You don't want to be the person running to the grocery store buying bread. You already have it. So bandages, think about your prescriptions, see if there's any kind of herbal, homeopathic type alternatives. Now, that's not true for everything. Not every prescription medication has a homeopathic or an herbal alternative, but it's a good time now. You've got the internet, look it up, do some research, determine what you can do on your own for first aid, for bandages, right? And this is after this concludes. As we said, I'm not saying bandages are more important than water. I'm trying to give you actual order of importance, right? Starting with air, moving to shelter, moving to water, moving to food, then get into the Bs, move into bandages. Do you have any kind of first aid supplies? What do you have? What do you think you might need in case something happens? Burn cream, burn treatment stuff is really useful to have around. Something like that you're going to want to get out the moment you get a burn. If you've never had a burn, it sucks. Get your burn treatment medication. As I said, we did a video. It's dropping this weekend. Going a little deeper into some of the first aid supplies that you might want to have. So now we're going to the third B, which is bullets. And I'm not even sure you can say bullets on YouTube, but hey, we're not monetized, so we'll see what they do with that. Bullets, once again, you can take it literally and get a bunch of bullets. You can take it figuratively and take it as self-defense, right? As a law-abiding citizen, as a homesteader, we should be looking at bullets in two ways. One is hunting. Some of you may hunt, may like to hunt, may want to have the option to go out and harvest an animal to put food on the table. Certainly you need bullets for hunting. There's bow hunting and spear hunting and knife hunting. Bullets are pretty common, once again, figurative or literal bullets. Now, for self-defense, certainly no one ever wants to be in a position where they have to use a weapon to defend themselves. Unfortunately, it does happen, right? And it happens whether you're prepared for it or not. I know I did a video on self-defense insurance, right? And you could look at getting insurance to help protect you in the event that you do have to use a weapon for self-defense. But look at bullets, look at your options. You don't want to wait until you have to defend yourself to think about how you might do that. Right? Is that a firearm? Is it a can of pepper spray? Do you go jogging? Do you take your pepper spray with you? People do every day find themselves in situations where they have to defend themselves. And once again, the more you prepare for that situation ahead of time without living in fear, the better outcome you're going to have, right? Do you practice martial arts? What are practical things you can carry with you? They call it EDC, everyday carry, that you might use to defend yourself. Or what do you have at your house, your homestead, to defend yourself depending on the situation? So think about bullets. Certainly is a very relevant part of the 3 Bs, and I'm putting that after bandages, but certainly keep that in mind. Bullets, you've got everything else. What do you have for self-defense? What are you thinking of for self-defense? Is it a martial arts class? Is it a punching bag? Right? Are you learning how to defend yourself if the situation ever came up? And now my fourth B, we'll call it my free B. No one's going to like this one. Basic training. Right, and I'm not saying join the military or find a drill sergeant to yell at you to do push-ups, but think about your physical fitness. Can you do anything now to become in better shape, become better prepared for physical activity? Any kind of an emergency situation, disaster situation, is likely to require more physical activity than you're accustomed to, right? You're going to have to get off the couch. Not saying you're all a bunch of couch potatoes, but you're going to have to get out and do stuff, right? Whatever that is, whether you're bugging out, whether you're bugging in, whether you're running around the house trying to get all your preps ready, whatever you're doing, you're likely going to need more physical activity than you have now in any disaster. We're not just talking about the zombie apocalypse where you're trying to walk across the country, go to the CDC to figure out what virus causes zombies to start. Just talking about things around the house, right? Think about basic training. Think about your physical activity. This doesn't have to be expensive, right? You could join a gym. You don't have to join a gym. Start going for walks, right? Get some basic weights. Find something heavy. Lift it up, put it down, pick it up again a couple times, right? Lift some weights, lift some things. Get your physical activity up. Go for jogs. Whatever you can do to improve your physical activity. Fourth B, basic training. And a lot of the information I'm trying to give you doesn't have to be expensive. Right? We're not saying, hey, I can't afford it. Well, you can afford probably to go for a walk if you're physically capable of walking. If you're not physically capable of walking, certainly find a way to push yourself physically within your limits to improve your body, improve your physical capacity to respond to an emergency situation. So we appreciate you. Thank you for watching.